call the meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Present.
Trustee Keenley,
Present.
Trustee Wojcicki, Trustee Dante,
Present.
Supervisor Bussie.
Present. Okay, do we have any public comment? There being none. Consent agenda. This is the authorization for payroll bills, the town, the general assistance, and road department, and sewer. Then my report, which is my reports: social services, employment center, food pantry, youth services, adult and family counseling, transportation, and financial. If there's no questions, can I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Now we have the approval of the minutes for October 24th, 2022, the regular board meeting. Are there any questions regarding the minutes?
No, sir.
If not, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. There being no presentations, we'll go on to reports. Assessor?
You have my written report, but a great deal has been going on behind the scenes with the county. As you're aware, the second installment tax bills are online. Some of them have not hit the mailboxes yet, but if you want to know what your property taxes are, you can go on the treasurer's website and that's okay. If that's the worst thing that happens today, it's a good day. And you can pay your bill online, or you can print your bill out and use, of course, the bottom portion, which should always go with your check or go to Chase and pay it there. But they do require that you have a copy of the tax bill. You can't just go in and say, I want to pay my property taxes. So, obviously, due and payable December 31st. As you're well aware, we are months behind with the county assessor, and we're already hearing complaints from taxpayers regarding mortgage companies readjusting their escrow funds for this. So this problem just seems to have a life of its own, and it's going to continue. I guarantee you, second installment tax bill next year will also be late. Now, that brings us to the first installment for next year for the 2022 property taxes. We were trying to figure out a way that would ease the burden on our taxpayers of paying the second installment December 31st and then turning around and paying a first installment, 55% of that bill, March 1st. We came up with any number of scenarios, one of which was, okay, if you can get the bills out, give a grace period of 30 days, no penalties, for another 30 days after that time. What we really had not taken into consideration was the certificates of error that are applied between now and that first installment. That should be, you should be paying 55% of the correct bill.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen because they don't have time to get all of these CVs in. I mean, we've done a great many of them in our office. And again, if you're going to pay 55%, you'd like it to be the correct amount. If you had a substantial reduction, you're giving money, you know, that you shouldn't be paying into the county, and now are you going to wait for a refund? Are they going to apply it to the second installment? So you can see where this has gotten to be, you know, a disaster. anyhow, I will preface this by saying the veto session will end Thursday, December 1st. We now have legislation pending that we hope is going to pass, and so that you understand, exactly what I'm talking about, this is pretty much where we're at. In Cook County this winter, 2 property tax bills representing about a year's worth of taxes will be due within 2 months of one another. I mean, that's horrendous in itself. The Cook County Township Assessors Association is concerned that this unusually short period between bills will cause hardship for some of our taxpayers, and accordingly supports legislative proposals that would provide an additional month between the upcoming due dates. Obviously, I and our office is a member of the Township Assessors Association. State law provides many months between Cook County tax bills, with first installment bills due March 1st, second installment August 1st. This year, however, computer compatibility problems between the county's tax appeal agencies have led to a 5-month delay in second installment bills. As a result, the bills will not be due until December 30th, the latest ever due date in Cook County. And we're just grateful for that, because if it was due in January, people would have lost some of their federal income tax deduction for property tax. So bills need to be paid by the 30th of December. The last time second installment tax bills were due in December was in 2010. In that year, the state legislature, recognizing that some taxpayers could have difficulties paying the next bill by March 1st, extended the due date to April 1st. The legislative proposal under consideration in Springfield would follow this precedent and extend the first installment due date to April 1st. So what this legislation would do is give an additional 30 days for people to come up with 55% of the most recent ascertainable. The difficulties associated with having 2 tax bills due within 2 months of each other can be particularly severe for those whose second installment tax bills are impacted by reassessment, which of course we know about that, which can lead to large and unpredictable tax bill hikes for some property owners. This year, the second installment bills for all taxpayers in the city of Chicago will reflect reassessment. And you see, ours will not be reflected until the second installment next year. For a significant percentage of those taxpayers, the result will be a large tax increase. Ordinarily, taxpayers who see large increases in second installment tax bills have 7 months to prepare for the next year's first installment bill. This year, however, taxpayers will have just 2 months to prepare for that next bill. We believe they should have more time. This association and my office are sensitive to the needs of the Cook County taxing districts that will depend on property tax revenue, and are relieved that they will soon be receiving needed revenue from second installment bills. The unprecedented 5-month delay in the bills has caused them financial stress, and we hope that we never experience this again. But the proposed 1-month delay in first installment bills will be similar to the delays experienced during the pandemic and should not nearly be as stressful. So basically, hopefully, by the end of the veto period, there is legislation that will say, okay, it won't be a March 1st, it'll be an April 1st, and that's at least a buffer. Now, whether or not all the certificates of error are processed or not, I can't guarantee that, but at least many of them will be, so that people will not be coming back and saying, having to do yet another C of E.
So Connie, two questions on that. So you bring up a good point with regards to people with escrow accounts that are having their mortgages paid by the banks. They're obviously, the banks, if there's a depleted amount, they're obviously going to charge, they're going to need to get that money from somewhere, and they're going to get it from the homeowner.
The escrow accounts, we've already, as I said, we've already had a lot of inquiries about that, and we've referred them back to their lenders to determine, there is a law, and it escapes me right now, that they can only keep a certain percentage over the most recent ascertainable bills so that they're not utilizing money that they have no right to utilize. However, this second installment, that's coming right out of the escrow fund. It remains to be seen now, again, if you look at, 55% of this bill, you're going to see escrow accounts.
So then that'll lead me to my next question. So there's going to be a buffer time for them, supposedly, based on this legislation.
Yes, instead of March 1st, April 1st will be, if this passes Thursday. Now, I can't imagine it won't, but this is Illinois.
So what's going to happen, or even though they're being given extra time, maybe, if it took them this long to get the second installment out, how are they going to know that the first installment of April is the correct amount?
Well, the reason that
If I go back to the computer issues.
Yeah, well, computer issues, this is not the time to address that. But from that standpoint, if you look at your second installment, which you're paying this month or in December.
When do we receive it? You should shortly?
It should be in the mailboxes shortly, but you can go online right now.
We went online.
And see what your tax liability is. I have to admit that, as soon as I knew they were online, I looked at mine, grabbed my chest, and paid it online, just because I didn't want to face it for Christmas. But from that standpoint, they're going to take that 55% of the total tax bill for the 2021 year, which we're going to be paying now. Now, if there were certificates of error filed, they're hoping to catch up with those, which is why they're extending, the due date. Are they going to catch all of them? I have no idea.
Okay.
My confidence is fairly shaken at this point with the county.
If there's an error, do they go back and refund you for?
Yes.
Whatever period was? Okay.
Yeah, basically, if there has been a certificate of error on file and adjudicated, then of course you will be credited to that with that amount. Now, I don't know how whether they're going to send a check or whether or not they're going to credit it to the second installment. My thought is that they'll be sending checks to the taxpayer who, if they're canny enough, will then send it to their lender to supplement their escrow fund. That's all the good news I have for you tonight, kids.
Okay, thank you.
Getting feedback.
You guys have to talk closer to the mics, it's speaking back, as you guys have talked.
Okay. Pull it up then. Pull up your mics. Well, I guess the bottom line is, what we're saying is that you will receive your tax, it's online already, but you'll be receiving the tax bill in the mail sometime in the next week or so. You have till the 31st to pay it. Your first installment, 30th. Your first installment will probably be coming in February or March, and then you have, depending on whether this passes or not, you have that much time to pay that.
Yeah.
And any certificates of error that have been submitted may or may not be included, and you need to track that. Okay. And is there, if anyone's listening to this, is there what is the specific site they have to go on to?
CookCountyTreasurer.com.
Okay.
and that'll give you your second installment tax bill. It's really a very easy site to navigate. Once you can print out your tax bill, you can pay it online, and it's taken directly out of your account. You get, a confirmation that, the transaction has gone through successfully, so you've got proof of payment. For years, I sent mine in the mail, and I've gotten more and more worried about it getting lost in the mail. So now, I have to admit, I pay it online just to make sure that my account is properly credited.
And is it come out of your bank account, or can you do a credit card as well, too?
You can do credit card, but you're paying fees on that.
Okay.
And I personally don't recommend that. I use a checking account, and it comes directly out of my checking account, and I record it, appropriately.
Right.
But yes, you can pay by credit card, but
Yeah. Okay.
not a sound financial decision.
Does anybody have any other questions for Connie? Since she's full of good news. Okay. The clerk's report?
We had one FOIA request in October for our Code of Ordinances, which were given out. And the levy ordinances were filed on October 20th. And the agency grant meeting committee is meeting tomorrow to start the procedure of reviewing the applications for the next year's budget.
Just so people know on that, we are looking at, we are considering right now, and I would bring that to the board next month, expanding the agency grant committee, and I've talked to Sue Ellen about this, adding 2 residents to the committee as well, just to get a local input, since we were doing that for the Social Services Review Committee. So if that becomes the case, if it looks like we want to proceed with that, then we'll have the policy rewritten. It'll be a minor change, but it'll be brought back to the board to approve. Okay, Supervisor, if there's any questions for the clerk? No, if not, Supervisor's report. As you can see, that we've started with the construction of the fence. It's been partially completed. They've had problems with concrete, but they're moving ahead. We have about a third of it done now. We figure by the end of this week or next week, they'll have it completed. They're going to have to dig some of the holes and generate their own concrete to finish it. But we should have the fence completely replaced along our east side by the end of next week at the latest. At the same time, this winter, we should be seeing work done, in the interior work done, bike safety, and the youth challenge course storage space. Also, at that time, we'll probably redo the bathroom that we're using to make it available for people using the challenge course and the bike safety. And there may be some other interior work and roof work that goes along. The rest of the outdoor construction will be next spring. So the bike safety and the challenge course themselves will be next spring now. We won't be able to get that done before winter, as you could clearly see. This is a heads up on the Thanksgiving baskets. It was a very successful program. They had, I don't know, like 250, 300 baskets were passed out. So we had great participation from those people supporting the program, and there was clearly a demand and a need by members of the community. So I want to thank the Social Services Department for managing that. Also, the CEF, the Community Empowerment Fund fundraiser, was earlier this month, and at Station 34 in Mount Prospect, we had a very good turnout, and we raised over $5,000 for a first time. That's pretty darn good. We had a very good turnout, particularly from some of the leaders in the different communities that we cover. And next year will be a little bit more, we're going to open this up and expand a little more and see if we can draw in more of the public, more of the residents to participate in it as well. So it was a very good start, and it will help supplement the funds that the Community Empowerment Fund has. And as you remember, the Community Empowerment Funds has provide additional funds for our clients that have run out of, that are no longer eligible for any other government programs, yet still have a need, whether it be rent or utilities, whether it be something that just isn't covered like pest control. It's a fund that gives us a lot more ability to continue to support people that need it but have run out of government support, or for people that have problems that are outside of the normal government programs. So I want to thank Vince and Corey Dewey for putting this on. It was, I think, a very good start to what we hope will be an annual event. The next step would be snow plowing IGA. We have Mount Prospects completed. We will be addressing the Elk Grove Village one later in the meeting. And then, so you know, Art will be doing the plowing for our parking lots. We still have we'll be through surplus, since we've declared it surplus, we'll be selling the truck, the Mack truck, and the chipper, and the front end loader, and maybe the trailer. And we're working on disposing of that now. But we'll still be keeping the smaller truck with the plow, which Art will, as our field director for road services, will be using to plow our parking spaces. And he also provides a backup in case there's any problem with one of the villages in sort of getting their plowing done or getting it done quickly or whatever it is. Art has the ability to be a backup for that. The assessors, IGAs, we approved last month, all of them, Palatine and Schaumburg specifically, and we approved in anticipation of Wheeling and Maine, assuming there was no changes to what was submitted to them. I thought Wheeling had approved it. We haven't seen anything from them.
I haven't been able to get in touch with the assessor.
Okay. So
I'm assuming that everything is fine, or I would have heard if there was any
okay.
changes.
We just haven't seen anything from them
Yeah.
yet. And I know Maine is just haven't heard anything, period. So if you could help getting the Wheelings in here.
Yeah, I will, make a note.
Okay. And then a couple of us attended the Township Officials Conference, Illinois Township Officials Conference, annual conference. It was Dick and myself from the board, and then Corey Dewey and Andrea, I think, from the caseworkers. And it was I think it was a good conference. It was it was a little bit, how would you say, there was an issue, you know, everything has gone up in terms of costs, so they've cut back and they're focused more on the educational side of it, which is good, because that's what the purpose is. Cut out some of the ancillary things that were associated with it. But they had some good sessions that Dick and I went to, and I know that Corey and Andrea also were able to do some networking, and they also attend some events and educational events that were beneficial to them as well too. I would encourage the trustees to participate in this, clerk and assessor too. I don't think you have to go every year, but I would suggest that every other year or so you participate in the conference. It's a good refresher on some items or some areas. It's also for some of the newer trustees. I think it's very helpful in sort of addressing areas that maybe you're not familiar with. And it also gives you a chance to network a little bit and gain ideas from some of your fellow trustees or with me supervisors. And I always come back with 3 or 4 things. Even though I think I know everything, I always discover down there's something that I was not aware of and that I should look at. So anyway, that's the conference. I don't think that's it. Does anybody have any other questions for me? If not, okay. Can we have a motion to approve the reports?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay. If there are no further questions, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Dante?
Aye.
Trustee Bussey?
Supervisor Bussey.
Sorry, Supervisor Bussey.
I've been demoted.
I'm in a
Okay,
mode.
aye. All right, there being no old business, we will go to the new business. There's a request from Christus Victor Lutheran Church for their annual Thanksgiving dinner. This is post the event. We supported them, I think, Paul, we supported them last year. I had asked them to kind of include this in their agency grant recommendation, or request, but they didn't. I don't know, Vince, if you want to talk about this a little bit, what it is.
Sure. I believe the agency grant is completely separate. Even though it's in the same church, it is a complete separate
Right, it
event
It's-
that's put on for the last 19 years. And it does feed Little City, Clearbrook, and Kenneth Young. And they do anywhere in the past between 700 dinners. This year, they did about 600, 550 or 600. This goes all the way from families who don't have a way to secure a dinner on Thanksgiving to special needs people that are bussed into the facility, into the church to eat dinner. It's a fantastic program. I have been there several times on cleanup, helping up, and I think that aside from what the grant is providing, I think this is a great way to spread some goodwill to people who aren't as fortunate as the rest of us.
And what is their request for?
The
Dollar amount.
The typical dollar amount that comes in the form of what they reach out to people requiring is anywhere from $50 up to $500.
Okay. Before I ask for a motion, I would point out that ordinarily we don't do this outside of the grant programs unless there's an emergency, such as Journeys from Paths of Hope when they needed during COVID to find housing for some of the homeless. That was a sort of a crisis situation. And the reason being is we don't want to be having to address these individual issues during the course of the year. It creates, who do we support, who don't we support then, and what can we afford if we're not specifically budgeted for it. That said, this can be considered. I would hope, and what I asked them last time was that in their agency grant, they apply for both programs, that they put in for the dinner as well as to support the Thanksgiving program, as well as the other program that we support them through.
Okay.
And that's the way I'd like to have them pursue that in the future. That said, if there's a motion from the board and it's approved by the board to support them for whatever dollar amount that you want to make the motion, we can proceed with that.
I think based on the amount of people that they directly are feeding, all the amounts of monies goes towards the food, not towards helping
Right.
the staff or anything like that. It's all towards the food, and I feel like 250 is more than sufficient.
Okay, if you'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we support the request for Christus Victor Lutheran Church for the annual Thanksgiving dinner in the amount of $250.
I'll second it.
The second, is there any further discussion on this? I do want to point out again, though, that I really want to make this the exceptions going forward, and that we remind them on the agency grant that if they want us to support this, they should include that in their
I'll check on
agency
their
grant request.
application.
Okay,
Sue Ellen, you can reach out, because it is handled completely separate, you can reach out to Sandy Mueller for the Thanksgiving dinner and I'll provide her information after the meeting.
Okay. And then the agency grant committee can look at it and make a decision as to what they want to do or don't want to do. Okay,
We need a vote.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, just, I guess at this time we just take the motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
If not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
trustee Keenley,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, a second item on the new business is the IGA for the road district Elk Grove Village snow plowing. As you know, we've had we've had approved the IGA with Mount Prospect for the unincorporated area associated with Mount Prospect. In your package, you'll see the IGA for Elk Grove Village that we have negotiated and come to terms on. The dollar amount is $19,000 for the areas the unincorporated areas, which would be the Rapolo, the Branniger, Martha and Mary, the cemetery, and then I think the Crest area as well too. If you notice in the agreement, I'm going to ask that this be
Chris is Brandon.
I'm going to ask that this be approved with two modifications. One is that we do not need to have dirking included in here because that is already Elk Grove Village's responsibility. And the other thing, Paul, would you mention it's not just dirking, what's with Crest?
Yeah, the other, good. The other item was on the second page after Exhibit A. Very minor, but one of the streets is not noted in there, because Crest is not noted.
So dirking should be removed and Crest should be added. We also are going to ask them, well, let me have if I can have a motion to approve the IGA with modifications of the deletion of dirking and the addition of Crest. Appreciate that.
So moved.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Elk Grove Township and the village of Elk Grove Village and Elk Grove Township for the plowing of unincorporated areas. The one thing I will point out with the modifications, I will point out one thing is it does not include in here the termination of the previous IGAs, which was included in Mount Prospects. We're going to go to them and ask for them to send a letter to us that we would then agree to terminating the IGAs. Rather than go back and rewrite the whole IGA again, we're just going to get a letter from them indicating their agreement with the termination of those previous IGAs. And if you remember, those IGAs were written for us to plow their roads, some of their roads, in order to keep our mileage up to be able to, for us to continue to provide the service. So the motion is in place. If there's any further questions at this point?
George, do we have a map now stating,
Right, industrial, yeah.
other than here,
Yeah.
in bigger picture, Des Plaines area, Mount Prospect area, Elk Grove area, if there's an outlining area.
For the
saying-
township?
For the township,
The
saying
unincorporated.
the unincorporated areas, which
Yeah.
are now part of this IGA.
Well, okay, yeah.
I could see it
yeah,
here, but this is just Elk Groves. I don't
Yeah.
have Mount Prospects in the
Well,
past.
we'd have to, Mount Prospect did not provide that with their, well, I think they did. The Mount Prospects is a very small area around Hamilton. What do you call it? Elk Grove Village has the Beaster, has the Martha and Mary, the Branniger, and the Rapolo, and a small area where Crest, and Center and Crest. So I guess what we're trying to do at this stage is we're trying to, the verbiage is all we really need, but it would be helpful for us, and we're working on a little bit, is getting a new map done for Elk Grove Township.
I think it's helpful, especially when
Yeah,
wear out at certain areas and
Right.
people are wanting to know.
Well, and the unincorporated areas have changed. The old map showing unincorporated areas that are no longer unincorporated. So we're reaching out. Last time we were able to do it through one of the villages. They worked with us to get a new map generated, and we're talking to one of the villages right now to see if we can have that done, because we would like to have a new map that really reflects what is unincorporated.
Have you spoken to Sean about maybe using Jessica for
Well, that's what,
the
it's
GIS?
Mount Prospect and Elk Grove is
Okay.
is what we, because they potentially have the capability to provide that.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, that will be addressed, I think, for the Mount Prospect one, and for this one, what was provided with the IGAs is adequate for our purpose. It clearly defines it. And with Mount Prospect and now here with Elk Grove, with those modifications, it should be it's clearly defined. I think the map is another issue, a separate issue, but I think it needs to be done because it's inadequate, it's out of date at this particular stage.
Okay.
Any other questions on the intergut IGA with Elk Grove for plowing? No. If not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, the last one is Resolution 2022-11, 2023 Trip Transit Grant and Service Agreement. We do this agreement every year. We have a consortium with several of the other townships, and the TRIP program allows people in our township to travel outside of the township for medical purposes. So a good example would be a veteran living in Mount Prospect who needs to get to Great Lakes, to the VA hospital up there. And we can't provide that with our buses because we can only go a short distance outside of our boundaries to take people around. So the TRIP program is a program that we, with a couple other townships, put together that allows us to transport these gentlemen for not just veterans, but for medical purposes outside of the area. And I think, Paul, it costs $5 each way, or how much is it?
$5 per township border that's crossed, $10 max one way,
Okay.
$20 round trip,
So if they're going to Great Lakes, then it would be $10.
$20 round trip.
$20 round trip. And this supplements, so we have our bus program, we have the TRIP program that we participate in, and then we have sort of like a dial-a-taxi, which has not been too effective here recently because the taxi companies are struggling with drivers. And those are the three programs that we currently are involved in. So is there any questions? Well, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
A second.
Okay, is there any questions regarding the TRIP program? This is, like I said, it's an annual resolution agreement that we sign.
Great idea.
I just got one thing to say, is they should put the right address for Elk Grove Township. You got 2400 South Arlington Heights Road,
They haven't updated it.
Yeah,
On which one?
right here.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
yeah. I think it should make no difference on here, but we probably need to make sure they're aware of that. Pardon? Yeah, we'll get it changed, but it has no impact on the actual agreement, but that's a good catch, thank you. Okay, and we have a motion to approve in a second. If there's no further questions, and Dale, we will make sure that they have the right address for the township hall. Can we have a roll call?
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley,
Aye.
Trustee Dante,
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, if there's no new business, discussion and comments from trustees, do any of the trustees have anything they want to say or any questions they want to put forward? On any issue you want to address? Nope. Okay. I have one issue that I need to put forward here. I received an email from Greg, our trustee, and he indicated, Greg Wotecki, he indicated that he unfortunately needs to resign his position on the board due to business-related, job-related issues, and health. So this is the email I received. I have fully enjoyed my time as trustee for Elk Grove Township. I no longer have the time or energy to serve effectively. My health issues and increasing professional and family commitments are many of the reasons. I regretfully say I'm resigning, and thank you all for doing what we need to do for our township. If at some point, if I can dedicate more time to serve again effectively, I would be happy to. Respectfully, Greg Wotecki. I received this on October 31st. We agreed to delay this, making this effective until today. So I was hoping he'd be able to be here and make the statement, read this himself and kind of answer any questions, and for us to be able to thank him for his service. I'm not sure why he wasn't able to attend, but in any particular case, Greg has been a great addition to the board. He's very concerned and very committed to serving the residents of Elk Grove Township. He's had a number of issues here, and I give him credit for making a decision that he couldn't do the job as fully as he wanted to, and as completely as he wanted to. And I think that's great on his part to be able to take that. I wish it wasn't the case, but I understand and I appreciate him standing up and making this decision. So as of today, we do have a vacancy on the board. The way this works is that the supervisor identifies a name and appoints, recommends an appointment of a new member to the board for the board to approve. We have 60 days to do it, and it has to be, the only requirement is it has to be an individual of the same party that the elected official was. So we are in discussions with some people. I've been in discussions with some people getting potential candidates, and I will get back to the board as that develops, and hopefully we'll be able to make a decision by the end of this, by the December meeting. And that's probably all I can really say at this particular stage. Is there any other questions or comments regarding that? No?
No, I would concur with George. You know, I got to know Greg as being part of the board here. He's definitely dedicated to, you know, Elk Grove and wanting to be part of it. I also can concur with his you know, ongoing health issues, but I do want to thank him for his service during the time he was with us, and that's it.
Okay. Is there anything else from anyone else during this open floor period? If not, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.